Hey there, greetings, everybody. Welcome back. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and today is Star Citizen this week. Today is November the 16th. It's Thursday. Hope you guys are having a good week, and we are back. We got so much cool stuff to cover, so much stuff to talk about. It's been a busy week for Cloud Imperium Games and for the community. Actually, it's been a busy week, I think. Actually, a busy month, right? Let's see, today's the 16th. We were getting ready, prepping to get pumped up and psyched up for CitizenCon. I went about a month ago. And wow, so much stuff has been going on since then. So we're going to try to go through what's been happening over the past week. It's an exciting week for a lot of folks because the last big event that CIG does every year, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo starts tomorrow on the 17th, and it's going to go through, I think, the 30th, something like that. We'll look at the schedule in a little bit, but it's the annual period of time when a lot of backers that support Star Citizen show up and show out. Some people purchase new items from Cloud Imperium. Some people, what we call melt items, because they want to get other items. They upgrade. Some folks hold onto their wallets and don't spend any money. But it is a time for the community to come together in a way to financially support the development of this project. And I've been really curious to see how this year's IAE will go, both as far as participation and financially. Hey, Captain Jones, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, there's other stuff that's been going on this week too. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it because CIG did give us a full week of information to go over. And I'm going to talk to you about some thoughts about IAE and CIG's projection for this year, see how well they'll do financially. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and do the do here. And let's start out with this week in Star Citizen. This came out a couple days ago, beginning of the week, just kind of giving us an overview of what's going on. Don't forget, if you guys want to come in and share your thoughts, any comments about anything that we talk about today, please feel free to click on the Discord link that will bring you right into the room with me, and you can share your thoughts. There we have, I guess this is the, is that the CL? I meant CL, the Crusader A1. I guess that's the A1, right? Yeah, that's the A1. Happy Monday, everybody. Last Friday, we wrapped up Pyro on the preview channel. For now, we want to thank everyone who was able to make their first steps into the next chapter of Star Citizen. It was awesome to get to explore our second solar system alongside you. And the playtest gave us an immense amount of data, bug reports, feedback from all to make Pyro better. Now we look ahead to upcoming patches, IAE, and of course, introducing some major technical pillars for the preview channel for testing very soon. Speaking of IAE, it's upon us. The annual ship and vehicle showcase returns to New Babbage on Microtech for 2953 to celebrate all things pilotable. Plus, you'll have an opportunity to take the full lineups of each vehicle manufacturer out for a spin each day for the show. Coverage of the show begins today with the event's free fly schedule. Head to the show floor at the Tobin Convention Center every day for a new selection to choose from. Now let's see what's going on this week. On Monday, they published the free fly schedule for IAE, so you can start planning what ships you want to rent, during the event. Once again, this is a great time for, oh, that's the Spirit. Yeah, it is the Spirit. Thank you, Cap. This is a good time to me, and I said this a few weeks ago, normally I have not been a person to tell people about Star Citizen or invite people to play Star Citizen. I got some real sci-fi geek friends, but they're not at that level of game and game development that, you know, bringing them into this environment would have been a good thing. I think it may have turned them off, even though they may have been very interested from the pitch and maybe seeing some of the cool trailers and videos. And so I'm really feeling now that this is kind of a cool time to start introducing some people to it. And maybe you do too. You know, there's still some issues. We know that there's still bugs, there's still instability, but the game is playable. And the last few times I've been in playing the game, I can't remember, to be honest with you, the last time I've been kicked from a server. Maybe about 3 weeks ago, I was with some friends and I had a crash to desktop, and we all logged back in, and we woke up. I shouldn't say woke up, but we started right where we left off. We were getting into the back of a Starfarer, and we were in the cargo area, and there were 6 of us, I think 5 or 6 of us, and everybody spawned right back in where they were. So it was nice that the recovery was working. But that's happening less and less. And I know there are some people who still run into the issue of 30K. I really haven't been having that issue, and my play sessions run anywhere from an hour to 3 to 4 hours. I know some people play even longer than that. So it's been pretty stable for me. But anyway, if there's a time to let people know to come in and try out the game for free, it'll be during the free fly. That's a perfect time to get people in. I also think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come in because of what we saw from CitizenCon and the response of the gaming industry and gaming community to what they saw. Let's see, on Tuesday, the narrative team had a new lore post. Jerry, the history half. Remember, we're going to talk about that in a second. The Banu's lack of recorded history means Jerry the Banu, who first encountered humanity, is now forgotten by their species. That leaves honoring their achievements squarely on the shoulders of humanity. Also on Tuesday, keep an eye out for the annual Intergalactic Expo of FAQ to make the most out of the upcoming show. This Wednesday, that was yesterday, we'll have the Roadmap Roundup alongside the Roadmap Update alongside the Roadmap Roundup. On Thursday today, ISC is part 1 of their traditional 2-week IAE coverage exploring the ships you expect and the ships you're sure to dissect. I looked at that. If I'm remembering correctly, the show opens with alien ships, and I think it closes out with RSI. So I would probably figure that this week they'll do the new alien ships that are being introduced, and then next week they'll wait and do the RSI. I'd be really surprised if they decided to do the RSI ship today. But they may. Who knows? But for 2 weeks, since they're covering IAE during that time, I think that's what they're going to do. Hey, Scavenger, how are you? Wait till Scavenger serves basic stable. Yeah, I know. That's going to be a whole nother thing, Scavenger. But you know what? To be honest with you, when that comes in, it's going to be rough a little bit because we're going to have to go through it again with Dynamic, right? But I think that people feel like we're getting there, if that makes any sense. It's not like another one of those times where stuff happens. I mean, even though when 3.18 came out, they kind of warned us about that because there was a huge shifting of stuff going into cloud and the database and everything. And I don't think people really got it. They were so pumped up about getting into the game that even though CIG said, hey, it's going to be hell for the next 3 months, it's going to be tough on Evocati, it's going to be tough on you, it was still tough on folks. And I mean, a lot of people, and we're going to talk about that a little bit when we look at the financials, you'll see the impact that had. But I think that this time around, players may kind of feel like if this is the last, if we're getting down to the last of those technical hurdles, I think people may swallow the pill a little bit easier. Shimpasta, how are you? Good to see you. Okay, and then Friday, tomorrow, they are going to do a Star Citizen Live. Continues their Q&A follow-ups with the FPS and flight teams from CitizenCon. So they're going to follow up with that with them as well. And that was from Jake. We just went through all of this. The MVP for this week, the community MVP, was this piece called Pyro 1. It was a Pyro 1 cinematic by Tooth Fairy 1. I haven't seen this one yet, so let's take a quick look at it. Let's copy the link. Let's put it up here. Let's go there. Let's go there. Let's check this out. By the way, I did some tweaking this week. So guys, tell me if the audio is coming through okay. If it's not, then I need to do some quick tweaking. Nope. I know you're not hearing that because I don't have my audio set correctly. Give me 1 second here, gang. Sorry. Old Griff was a little off today. Forgot to change all my settings back. Let's see, that goes there. And that goes there. And that goes there. All right, let's try it again, guys. Let's try it. I did not get to go to any of the planets when the pyro test was up. So, an interesting cloud formation. Like a big hurricane. Ooh. Hey, Vengeful. Ooh, nice. Ooh, nice. Nice shot. Well, that was very well done. Wow. Very nice. Great job. Great job. Yeah, like I said, I haven't been to any of the planets. Let me ask you guys a question. This opening sequence here with this big cloud formation, is that a storm? For those of you who've been there, I mean, it's kind of, that's like pretty wild. I mean, it's circling like it's a, some type of weather pattern. But if that's like a storm or something, that's like, kind of like Jupiter's thing, where it's like that constant storm that's going all the time, that would be super, super cool. Especially if there's something underneath there that you want to get to, but you've got to deal with that storm. That would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Hey, Pops. Hey, New Soul. How are you guys doing? That would be so cool if that is the case. Yeah, that'd be really neat. Okay, congratulations to that was a made by the community video. They did a great job on that. Very, very nice. Okay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Okay. So that was the MVP. Community MVP this week was the Pyro Cinematic. You guys could see that on the Community Hub. Okay, let's move on. The lore team did put out this thing called Jerry Half Remembered, a history half remembered. I read through this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of read the juicy middle part that kind of is the crux of what this story is about. But I didn't even realize that this was, I mean, I kind of knew the history of it, but I didn't know some of the detail that was here. But anyway, some of you may have heard this phrase Jerry before. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, if it's Jerry or Njeri. Maybe it's Njeri. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to go back and read the section about first contact in particular, because some of you guys may remember about first contact when we first had our first contact with another group of people in space. Pops and Fist, they're here. Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, okay.
All right, hanging in there.
Yeah,
Good.
I've heard of the Jerry with the Banu, right? That's
Yes.
what you're referring to when they the first
Jerry?
contact. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it something you want to share?
Oh, it was the way, it was the pronunciation.
Okay.
The way they pronounced his name actually wasn't Jerry, but they pronounced because it was easier to pronounce it. And
So how is it pronounced in Banu?
I'll tell you, it's very slow according to Paul's lore guide.
Right.
Remember we did that? It's
Yeah.
supposed to go Jerry.
Unjeri. Okay.
Right.
I said Njeri, but it's Unjeri. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Cool. Anything else you guys want to share about that?
No, that's.
I mean,
that's
but,
pretty
I
much-
mean, you know,
Oh, you guys popped in. I figured there was something you were coming in to share.
Yeah, just almost, they was a trigger, almost started I guess, I don't know if you would say a war. I don't know if the Banu go to war or not, but I would imagine they would. They have the Banu Merchantman was one of their capitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could say first, as far as the first contact, from what I remember, from the from this, it almost like Pops was saying, it almost did start a war. I mean, that first contact when I forget his name, when he found him, he didn't know what it was, and he shot first.
Right.
Yeah.
And luckily the Banu didn't shoot back.
Right.
So from what I understand, that then started a treaty between them.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
A
that's
trade.
actually, I remember he missed when he shot.
Yeah, he missed.
He missed.
Thank goodness
Mhm.
he wasn't a good shot.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Hey, STEM Citizen, thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate that. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Okay, well, let me go ahead and read some of this because, like I said, this is like the middle part of the section about what this lore is about, why Jerry is so important, and about the history. In 313 SCT on June 12, 2438, when Vernon Tar heard his ship's scanners ping, he reached for new jump points with a sector of Davian after previous trips had returned promising scans. Worried it might be another nav jumper attempting to steal his discovery, Tar opened fire on the vessel. Only after those initial shots did he realize the ship's design was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Tar relayed his coordinates and a brief description of his encounter to the local officials who relayed it to the United Nations of Earth, the UNE. Much to his surprise, the ship maintained its position once it became clear Tar was no further a threat. Inside the ship, that would be later known as Defender Not Unjeri, who the UNE would designate with the name Jerry later on, when Unjeri learned that this was a close approximation to their Banu name as spoken by humans. The Banu would embrace the title as a badge of honor and insist on being called it exclusively. The Banu didn't flee because they also realized they had encountered a new species and hoped the discovery would be their ticket home and out of trouble. It wasn't professional ambition or scientific curiosity that brought Jerry to Davian. It was sheer survival. Jerry had been caught embezzling funds from their Suli and fled to avoid the consequences. Jerry was far from a criminal mastermind, according to Natalia Gordillo, a member of the UNE's hastily assembled diplomatic team who befriended the Banu and wrote the biography Jerry. While the Banu's absence of traditional historical records makes aspects of her book almost impossible to corroborate, scholars still consider Gordillo's book to be the definitive biography on Jerry, as it is the only one written by a contemporary who knew them. Published in 2447, Jerry became a bestseller, and for many humans, this was the first in-depth look at Banu life and culture. The book revealed fascinating specifics about Sulis, the practice of divestment, the Banu's relationship to time, and more. Yet, it also told a deeply personal and universal story about how Jerry felt out of place with their lot in life. Though a desk-bound bureaucrat in their Suli, Jerry dreamed of being a pilot and intended to use the embezzled funds to buy themselves a position in a respective exploration Suli. When their Suli sniffed out Jerry's scheme, they panicked and fled in one of the Suli ships, resulting in a multi-day chase that eventually, through sheer luck and some innate skill, led Jerry to discovering the Davian jump point. So, like I said, you guys can take a look at this story. There's more to the top, there's more to the bottom of it, but it is interesting that they are making this as a part of a lore. And as you guys know, the Banu do not retain history. They do not maintain records of anything from their past. And so they're basically saying that this story, even though there was a human biographer who recorded this information and got to interview Jerry, this is really the only record that we have that's been created by humans in relation to someone from the Banu as far as we know of at this time. So very cool story. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, definitely check it out. It's good stuff about Jerry or Jerry. Okay. All righty. Let's go on to the next thing here. Roadmap Roundup. Admiral Kusanagi is here. Hey, Admiral, how are you?
Hey guys, good afternoon.
Good. Was there something you want to share before I moved on?
No, go continue.
You know what?
Continue.
Griff, I apologize. I don't want to take up too much time, but I have a question. So when we look at the lore, and the lore is such a intricate part of the game, do you guys think that being at the Banu, as just remembering that they don't record history, and we know reputation is a big part of this game, will that have an effect? Because if the Banu have okay, go. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say I get what you're asking. I think that the issue with reputation versus history, they built relationships, right? And their relationships are basically mostly economic in general, right?
Right.
And so I think they keep history that's important to them. The problem is they don't consider anything other history important. If it ain't got nothing to do with I think one of the examples that people have used them is like how the Ferengi are in Star Trek. If it has nothing to do with economics and their thing of trade, it is on the bottom of the list of importance, and history, even their own weird history, their own history. It doesn't come up the priority ladder. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what I want to say. So they do keep history, but it's a priority history.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's not that they don't keep some history. It's the history that's important to them. And so stuff that we as humans, humans will look at the scope of history across many levels, of what's important. I mean, even we retain information that's most important to us, and stuff that we don't care about, we kind of eject over time. But they honestly don't carry it. They don't record. Like, even we'll record stuff, right? Even if we don't use it, we'll at least record the information somewhere. They don't even keep track of it. Once it's no longer of use to them, it's gone, evidently. But I think things like economic, relationship, obviously, because they do treaties and, everything with the Vandul and humans and everything else, they do keep a record of history in that relation, because that's what they're driven by. You know what I mean? Even their Sulis reflect that there is an aspect of the Sulis are created about things that are important to their society, right? There's no frivolous Sulis for them. It's got to be relevant to what they do. And stuff that maybe you and I would think is important, they'd be like, they have no interest in it. And eventually, if there's no interest, it gets thrown out,
But the other thing too that I think about, because when I look at reputation, just like we see certain gangs have, like it's just like if you do something for, I forget, the blackjack, is that's them in our corp, then you will bring down your reputation with another gang. So that makes me think about with the Sulis or whatever. The Sulis, you have to think about, well, man, which one do I choose, because they may have a adverse effect with the UEE, or something like that.
That's a good question. And Paul would probably be the person to ask about that, because I'm not sure if, depending on what Suli you have a reputation to, whether there's impact with the UEE, because I'm not even completely sure the UEE's full. In other words, I don't know if there's just a general reputation with Banu in general, or whether there are some aspects of Banu that UEE is cool with. And for example, we know that they do slave trade.
Right.
So I don't know whether or not the lore from the UEE side of the point says that they still deal with them or they don't deal with them, because I don't know. Paul would probably be a way better person to tell you whether it's gotten that specific. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, there could be some things that clash against the UEE's belief systems. But we do know that there is some form of relationship with the Banu. Now, mind you, that's with the UEE. If you live outside the UEE, you could care less. Right. If you're a person from Pyro or Levski, you don't care what the relationship is. You just want to have your relationship with them, for your own personal stuff. So, okay.
It would be interesting to see, though, like if the UEE has a certain relationship with say the Xeon or the Banu, like you'd be like, oh well, you don't have to worry about the laws with the UEE, and they'd be like, well, yeah, we don't trust you at all right now, so you get the worst deal, because just because you say you're a pirate or whatever, you think you're gonna get a good deal with them because you don't have to deal with the UEE. They actually might look at you like worse than like a government, who normally governments they have like they have these long-standing deals and trade pacts and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, I think that the reputation aspect, whether you're with the UEE or not, is going to be, for us as players, I think it's going to be way more relational to how you treat them and what you do for them, and vice versa. Because to be honest with you, the Banu are equal opportunity traders. They could care less. They honestly can't. They know that the Vandul is a like a locust type, group of folk, but they still deal with them. So I don't think that they're going to look at a morality aspect of any particular group or person because of their history. They deal with everybody. They honestly don't care. I mean, their moral code is not human. It is strictly Banu, strictly trade, strictly profit, strictly the best of. And if you happen to be the devil himself wearing long pants and a tail, if you got the best of, these jokers will probably still deal with you, because they are not, you got to look at it from non-human perspective. They are strictly about trade, profit, the best of whatever it is. That's why, remember how they are about when they're watching Seder Ball? They go and
Yeah, they
cheer.
don't pick sides. Yeah,
They don't pick no side.
they don't pick sides.
If the other
Yep.
stars start winning, they move their seats
Mhm.
over to the other side. I mean, that's a different type of morality than us humans. You know, we have certain tribalism and we behind them, blah, 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 blah. You know, imagine if you went to a football game and, you took a jersey off and switched over.
Okay.
People would beat you up in the football stand. You know what I mean?
You are correct. So wait a minute. This brings out a good question of trust, though, with
Well,
them.
the way you get into them, they're all about their Suli. The way you, like Griff said, the way you get in good with them is one way you can probably begin to learn their language a little bit better, get that base understanding. But it's all about what you trade with them. They don't really care about any, I mean, other things are in a minor scale. Like Griff mentioned, their history. So you're not going to get to them through reputation of history. Now you may have to go out and do research to find something that they're interested in that on your end, but on their end, they're strictly about their Suli and what their
What I
Suli
wanted
does.
to elaborate on trust was, to my point, was that I'm talking about trust from them, like me to them, my
Right.
trust, not me gaining their trust, but my trust to them. Because if they're like, hey, listen, whoever's the best of the best, the best of the best, let's say I'm the best of the best at that time.
Right, but then somebody else comes
Right.
along.
Somebody
bigger
else
fish.
comes along who's the best of the best at the better
Will they
time.
switch up on you?
then-
Could be.
Exactly.
Could be.
That's what I mean by trust.
Yeah.
Could be. There are some things that CIG is doing. And guys, I'm going to theory craft y'all, so don't think
Right. I get you. So
don't,
am I.
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
think
right.
that I'm saying this is what CIG is doing. But the fact that CIG has gone to the point of creating a linguist and creating a written language, that is not something that is intended to be outside the game. It is intended to be a part of the game. So I would not be surprised if you don't know a Banu greeting, you can't do squat.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if they say, if you don't know how to, whether it comes up through the thought thing or you have to type it in or you speak it, but I would not be surprised. Now, I'm not saying it won't be cordial to you, but I'm saying if you're talking about this dynamic of trade, and if we look at how the Banu Merchantman was designed, one of the things the Banu Merchantman it was always kind of interesting to me that they did this, that they had a room designed for striking deals. It wasn't like you just come on their ship and buy stuff. There's a room designed to sit around and haggle out what's going to be bought, what's going to be spent. They consider that as a part, the negotiation part, to be vital. So the question becomes, how do we as players negotiate with them? Now, will it be as simple as, I bring this to you and you see it and then you say, okay, I'll give you this for that? Or will it be literally to the point, and y'all know how CIG is, or Chrissy is, about depth and immersion. I could very easily see him, not just this trade window that pops up and I put my stuff over here and you put your stuff over here and we just do that. But I could very easily see that you got to start out with even saying the right thing to them for them to consider whether or not they're going to trade with you. Now, I don't know how far a degree they want to take that and how they would manage it in the game loop. I'm just saying they're creating all this language. It ain't for us to talk to each other in Banu. I guarantee you that, I think it's there for a reason.
L.A. Noir. Now, L.A. Noir was kind of like, in a sense, where when you did the mission, if you chose the wrong thing,
you could kill your thing. I think you got a great idea, and that's pretty. We could see how that could easily be done. You know what I mean? No special thing, but again, just you don't have to be able to speak fluent Banu. But I think if there are certain key words that they put in a phrase, that if you respond to that keyword the correct way, it gets you more, more reputation, right? You do better. And that would also make us as players start to say, here's these key words that we need to learn so that when we see them, we know what the Banu are saying to us, whether they're happy, sad, they want to negotiate, the price is too high, too low. It could be just, I don't know, a variety of words that we need to learn, which I think would be kind of cool. Alrighty. Yeah. Okay. Everybody good?
Good.
All right, cool. All right. I didn't want to move on if guys couldn't hear me still. Okay, let's see what we got here. For roadmap roundup, we already know this. Let's go to the notable changes for November 15th For the release view, these items have been committed. Player hair updates. Updating the Star Citizen character customizer with 20 hairstyles from Squadron 42. This includes long hair, tied hair, and updates to existing short hairstyles. We saw some of these when we watched the video that CIG produced on character advancement, I think it was. But yeah, how are you guys feeling about this hair thing? I know we're not seeing all the curly hair we want to see, but it is an improvement to move past the Euro unisex hairs that they've given us all this time. What do you guys think?
I one thing I enjoyed, I did not know that doing hair was that difficult.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's not difficult if you don't make it realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you just got that hair that's like somebody put a lot of hairspray on it and it never moves and it doesn't collide, you're okay.
Clay hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was interesting to see that it took a lot of work for them to do it. And I know, character creation, depending on a person, some people could care less. I know there are some people who, because they couldn't get what they wanted, they just went with the default and just went, right? Plus the whole idea of making your stuff and then it's going to get lost. You got to do it again. I'm one of those crazy OCD people that every time I go in the game, I make my character. I can nail it in about 30 seconds and I'm done. But but there are a lot of people now who said, wow, now that I've seen how this thing is going to work, I will, especially because they can save their character. I think people are really going to get into the whole character customization.
Can you save the character?
You will be able to.
You will be able
Okay. Well, I was getting ready to ask because if they didn't, then that would be because that was one of the reasons why I just kind of just said I give up.
Yeah.
I just do the same. I just would go in default, whatever.
Yeah.
Change the skin a little bit, whatever. But other than that, yeah. But now that you can save it, yeah. Listen, like I tell you, I used to play those Asian MMO games, Joe Griff, and people spend hours.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once folks get it down.
Yeah,
now, I have a question.
Would. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just gonna say that, like they would do what they would do is in those games they would give like early access, not to the game, but just so you can make your character.
Make your character.
Like a week, like a week or so. Yep, that was it. But go ahead, Pops. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just wondering if anybody, as far as the hair is concerned, I do not recall an MMO doing hair. Maybe you all do. In depth on, usually I'm used to, like we said, the clay hair, kind of. I don't know. Is there other MMOs that are doing hair?
I've seen some that are pretty good. I mean, I know we've seen stuff like in Unreal's head thing is really, really good. I mean, theirs looks really good. Yeah. Ashes of Creation looks pretty good. They're still working on theirs though, right?
Yes.
So yes, I'm just saying. Yeah, they're still working on theirs, and we haven't seen anybody's final product yet, But I think what we are seeing is that everybody's trying to step their game up a little bit because that idea of personalizing your character, like you said, Fizz, means a lot to players now, and especially in MMO scenarios where you don't want everybody to look the same,
Can I say something from a point of view that I like because when I watched, the whole presentation of, all of the aspects that they do, and especially with these things like this with this hair, staying on topic, it really puts like other game developers on notice. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of liken that to where, because like a lot of times, we as people, we become complacent with something, and it's not forward thinking, and I'm glad that CIG as well as Ashes Creation was doing their thing too, and I'm glad that they were doing theirs and looking forward. But I really appreciate this, from that point of view, of pushing the industry.
Yeah. Every company has to decide on where they're going to emphasize their development work. And quite often there are compromises made for the sake of time and money. And a lot of times there are companies that have done really good character creators. I mean, they're pretty good. They're pretty decent. But you can have a great character creator, but then if the game isn't that great, there's a problem. Now, I'm not picking on Starfield. I feel like I got to say that every week. One of the things that people I heard in Starfield were disappointed in was that they created their character and then there was no way to see their own character in the game. It was almost kind of frustrating because you put in all that work to create your character. You know, at least in the MMO, somebody else is looking at you. But it's even more frustrating when you can't even look at yourself, you know, per se in a game.
They didn't have a screenshot.
When you're, I think when you're setting it up, but if you ever noticed, whenever you're in the game, you're always looking from the back.
Yeah, that's first. That first.
You've never seen anybody swing around to the front and looking at themselves. At least I haven't. Maybe somebody who's played Starfield in here. By the way, I am going to be doing a playthrough of Starfield. I think I've been really giving consideration to it. But I don't think that you can see yourself in the game. And then again, part of it also is that if you're playing with other people, that's when it really feels good. You know what I mean? Because I know when I'm in the game, I'm looking at other people's faces. You know, I'm looking at how they're dressed, you know, which is kind of cool. But you're right. It does make it nice that not just them, but other companies are raising that bar. But again, look at what those companies are having to do to raise that bar. Look at the time and effort that they've got to put in to raise that bar. And, you know, companies over the years have, on the inventory screen. Yeah, I mean, that's the only time is on the inventory screen. We got your, what do you call it? Not ragdoll, but yeah, I know what you mean, Cap. But in game, I don't think there's an opportunity to look at yourself. But anyway, let's move on past that. The following cards have been added to the release view targeting for quarter 3.22. Now, this is really cool because it's a couple things. One, CIG and CitizenCon said that there were several things they want to give us by end of year, 322, and then stuff they want to give us within the next 12 months. And as I said, when we walked away from CitizenCon, the one legitimate question that everybody I felt could ask, whether you're a supporter or a detractor, was when. And here we're getting an example of when. The cool thing about this is that Stanton is still our testing ground. Even though I know we would love to think it's Pyro, but still Stanton's our testing ground. So first thing they're doing is the new derelict settlements. They're going to put those in Stanton. So now we're going to get to see some new derelict settlements. Hopefully they'll be reflective of what we saw, some of the settlements we saw in Pyro. They're not going to be Pyro settlements, but hopefully they'll be a little bit more detailed, more fleshed out, because they said they're going to be using the Rastar tool. Now, we know that they've done the Rastar tool for the UGFs, the underground facilities, and we've seen how those look now. They look really nice. They're scattered out. They're bigger. The turrets are in different locations, so they're unpredictable. But now, let's hope they're going to do that with derelict areas like Ghost Hollow and stuff. We'll have more derelict places in the game for us to check out. And that's going to be within the next, well, we're in the fourth quarter now. We're in November. So that means by the end of the year. Yeah, end of the year. They're also adding 3 new modes in Arena Commander. There's going to be new maps, or two maps in a new mode. Bloodshot Ridge, one of Stanton's new derelict settlements, joins Arena Commander for all FPS modes, for all flight modes, including Classic Race and Pirate Swarm. And then Arena Commander's new map will be Maker's Point, a rough and stormy settlement on Hurston. Maker's Point makes its way into FPS modes. Now, I'm digging this thing about rough and stormy on Hurston. What do you guys think that might be? You think that means that there'll be some weather-related stuff?
I hope so.
We kind of got a glimpse of that from Pyro a little bit.
Yeah, we saw some in Pyro.
Yeah, you get some pretty bad dust storms out there, on depending upon where you're at.
That'd be
like
great. A dust storm would be great.
Like matter of fact, all of the planets had them. You know.
Yeah, we were
like
in.
Dust storm, yeah,
I was in Microtech last night with some folks doing a bunker, and we were in a snowstorm. Like a whiteout snowstorm on the ground. I couldn't see my ship, and I hadn't had that happen. I saw it happen only one other time. Now, maybe it was a fluke, but you literally, when you walked out that building, we had about 7 ships parked out there, and I could only see the freaking Pisces that was about 5 meters away from the ramp. Everything else you couldn't see. And that thing, I was out there for an hour, and it was like that whole time. It wasn't one of those passing things. So I don't know whether or not they're starting to implement something. You know how they be throwing stuff in the background that we don't know about?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing something. Go ahead, Admiral. Hey, Victor.
I don't know if I saw this on Montoya stream or somewhere else, but someone posted a video or someone they had their fully expanded and loaded hull C on a moon, and it was like teetering on something. The guy parked it somehow, and he's using his double-handed tractor beam to like manipulate a large container, and the wind just ended up taking this thing and spinning it, and all you see is this thing start tumbling way out into the distance, and the guy's like, and people in chat are like, well, I hope they calm down the weather, and I was just like, are you people like, do you even like listen to the news or videos or like, because it's gonna get like that. First of all, you're not supposed to bring that thing it's not supposed to have cargo on it, on a hull C, on the ground. And number two, you're gonna need to take vehicles because it's gonna be like I kind of see it like Aliens when you had the dust off, the ship comes down, drops off troops or maybe even just other vehicles that can handle the storm, and then it might pick off because the weather's too bad and it just flies up in the atmosphere for and it went until you're ready, and then you do your thing, get back in the vehicle, and it picks you up and you leave. That's the way I see some places being, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm like you, Admiral. I think that's the CIG's even said, like you said, they've talked about there will be a need for vehicles because of weather-related type things. There'll be certain areas. I think we remember. For those of you who remember, I know this is going to be a throwback, y'all. Real throwback, and I hope it don't get none of y'all no PTSD. But back to 2016 with the sandworm. If you remember, that particular video opened as they were approaching Lear 3. The guy was flying in a Constellation Aquila. Right. And he couldn't land where he wanted to, they said because of weather. Now, mind you, if you remember, there was a sandstorm in the area because it came later. So he had to park on a deck and then get into an Ursa rover and drive the rest of the route in. So, yeah, I agree. I think that there should be weather that becomes so volatile that flying into an area, either because of visibility or wind speed, just does not work. It's just not a safe thing to do. Or even if you do it, I'm not saying your ship will blow over, but I am saying is that some of you have tried to land at, like I've tried to land at Microtech several times. And I hate coming into Microtech in a big ship at night in a snowstorm. It is the worst. The wind freaking is. That's the only time I will fly third person, because trying to do it without going outside my cockpit is too dangerous. Sometimes the same thing happens at Hurston. You get these real strong winds, these gusts that come out of nowhere that kind of mess with you too. So but I will say this, Admiral. We know that they don't have gravity and weight completely balanced. And sometimes, and I have seen this happen, I think I was with Fist and Pops one time where their M2 was out there and the wind caught it and started blowing. Not as big as an M2 is, you aren't blowing that thing across the ground. No. But we know that that's not in the game yet. But I agree, Admiral, that players need to be very much aware of the dynamic weather. You may go into a building and then 10 minutes later come outside and there's a storm going on. And maybe you can't even depart for maybe 15 or 20 minutes because a storm is going on. There's so much cool stuff that could come out of this dynamic.
What about creatures? Because there's
well, that's a whole other thing. You the creatures, you're gonna get the fauna. That's a whole other thing.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, we'll get to fauna.
All right, so I have a question then. So your Blizzard thing, right? If you came out to your ship, right, and it had like 2 feet of snow on the side that it was snowing hard, is that something you would think would be like, oh wow? Would that be something that'd be like kind of like freak you out, or be like, oh my god, like it actually snowed out here while I was downstairs in a bunker?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to know if they're going to do snow accumulation. Well, you know what? They may do snow accumulation. Whether it will be a point where it would prevent me from departing or leaving, not saying they can't do it. Anything is possible. Who knows? That's all I can say to that, Admiral. Who knows? I mean, what has CIG told us about weather impact on ships? And we're going to move on, guys, but I will say this. They did talk about the fact that if your ship's been sitting outside for a while and you jump in it, I remember them saying you won't be able to just get in and start it and take off. That there may be a minute that you have to sit there for the ship to warm up. They haven't implemented that yet. How will players respond to that? If this may be the thing that says why somebody needs to stay on your ship. I mean, look at all the movies that we watch. Not to be, it's fiction is fiction. But I can't remember one freaking space movie where people left their ship and somebody didn't stay on board. I don't really remember too many instances where they shut down and everybody left the ship and just left it there. There was always some crew member that remained behind, whether it was for communication's sake, emergency sake, picking them up later sake, something along those lines. Now, we as players, we don't do that. We get out of our ship like we get out of our car and go do something. But I think that particularly for multi-crew, now I'm not talking about for single player ships, but I think for multi-crew, there may be prudent times. There may be times when everybody can leave the ship, lock it up and leave. But I also think there are going to be times where it's prudent to leave somebody on your ship who's going to sit there with it, or they're going to drop you and they're going to go into orbit because that's the safer place for them to be until it's time to pick you up. Because when that ship is sitting down there, you've given away a whole lot of information to people, letting them know that you're there. But when the ship is not there, people can come. They don't know if somebody's there or not. So there's a lot of different gameplay mechanics that I think can kick in later. But we'll see. We'll see what CIG does with that.
May I
make it quick because I got to keep moving. This is not Thursday night. This is Thursday noon. I got to keep going. Go ahead.
Well, I just kind of want to say I think things will move out of the Moby glass and in onto our ship computer, where we may be, like you're saying, on the planet side. We may need to communicate with the ship, and the ship needs to communicate somewhere else instead of just everything being on our Moby glass.
Yeah, well, and Moby glass is just our like Star Trek's communicator, right? I mean, that's what it could be. In the Elite, there is a means where if you're flying solo, you can actually command your ship to go into orbit while you're down on the port, which I always thought was a cool feature. And I thought for solo playing, that would be awesome. If I get out of my Gladius and I hit a button on my Moby, and then it takes itself into orbit. And then when I need it, I hit a button and it auto lands itself. I love that feature. Mm-hmm. I don't know if CIG would ever do that, but I do know that, tactically, regardless of game mechanics, that's what we see happen in every movie, every scenario. Drop ships do that. They drop people and they leave. They don't stay on the ground as a target. You know what I mean? And how many times have people been in a bunker and somebody roll up and blow their ship up, right? Then you're stuck, So true. Yep. Anyway, okay, let's look at this last mode in Arena Commander. Multi-crew and spawn locations, updating all maps to utilize the new spawn location system for spawn selection. This update will also enable long-awaited introduction of multi-crew to squadron battles, pirate swarm, vandal swarm, team tank battles, and free flight. I tried to do this the other day with Montoya. He was doing something on his stream. God bless him. He's on right now. And he had about 7 of us log into Arena Commander because he wanted to do this little testing thing. And what we couldn't do was log in as a multi-crew. What we were able to do was log in individually into his lobby. And then we all flew our ships to where he was. And then we all EVA'd out and got on his ship. Well, this is going to now change that dynamic where now you'll be able to all spawn into a particular ship. So if Pops wants to take out his constellation, he needs 3 people on it, 4 people, we'll be able to all spawn right into his ship. Won't have to do this whole thing of getting in another ship, going to his ship, EVAing in, all that other good stuff. I am curious about this. In chat, you guys can toss in some things in there if you have some ideas. Arena Commander is being worked on heavily, very heavily, more than ever before. In fact, it's not just getting love. I mean, it's getting an overhaul. Now, some of this may be based upon the tech that CIG has been able to accomplish because of their work on Squadron 42. Victoria, to answer your question, the answer is yes. While I've been down here, it arrived. So my question to you is this. Is Arena Commander being built out just for us? Or do you think it's being built out for others? Anybody in chat? Anybody in the Discord got any thoughts on that? And I'm just running it past you.
What do you mean for others?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It was interesting that Sandy Gardner at the Asian Bar Citizen asked about people's interest in Star Citizen in relation to console.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Well, I think that's what Toe is. That's the way I envisioned Toe to be.
Well, let me ask you.
If this is their way to kind of figure out how to do toe so that you can have it on a console, and that would make sense to me.
Yeah, these couldn't these be modules for toe?
Yeah, they could be, and Arena Commander is like the one thing for I know we've had people in chat talk about if I only have 1 hour to play Star Citizen, X, XXXX, and it's just like, well, Star Citizen is trying to make enough gameplay in different locations for the amount of time that people have available. Whether it be you can sit down and play an RPG and you want to play it like 14 times. I mean, how many times do people play Mass Effect or the Old Republic? I played the Old Republic, like the original RPG, like a million times. And then do you want to spend like a half a day traveling in Quantum, trying to get to another system in Star Citizen,
right?
Or do you just have 30 minutes? Do you want to play some fighting game in Arena Commander, or play some tank battles or something like that, FPS stuff like Star Marine?
Right.
Um,
doesn't this feel a little console-y though to you? Look at all the different modes. You see what I'm saying? And I agree with you about Toe. No, I agree with you about Toe. I think Toe would definitely be the game. But I'm looking at here are all the side things you can do, right? Instead of, if you don't want to go into the 16 or 32 person or 64 person battle, here's the thing that you can go into on the side with your friends. Now, mind you, let me say this. I'm not taking away from this being a part of Star Citizen and Squadron, or Star Citizen in particular. CIG has made it very clear that they want this to be a part of Star Citizen. When you get into the pods that you get into, you'll be able to do practice runs without being penalized, without worrying about going to prison. That's what all this is for. It's a way for us to be able to practice and have fun and recreation while you're flying on your ship. So yes, 100% this is Star Citizen. I'm just saying there's a lot of love going into this. We've been having these conversations about how can CIG make revenue and money, blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying, to Admiral's point, imagine if Theaters of War came out and all these little breakdowns were also in there that you could do too. To me, that would be the great way to bring it into the console area instead of worrying about Squadron or definitely not Star Citizen. Now, would they make Squadron a console? That's a tech issue. And as you guys know, these big games have had a lot of difficulty translating a game that's high on PC in graphics and immersion into the console area. Cyberpunk tried to do it. Everybody's tried to do it. Elite has tried to do it. Nobody's pulled it off. Not well. Now, whether CIG will try to do that, I don't know. I'm not saying do it or don't. I'm just saying I wouldn't worry about that. But what I think that they could pull off is Toe with Arena Commander modules in it for console. And I think they would clean up because they'd have a space. Think about what EA has tried to do with the Star Wars franchise. They would have a great space FPS game out there on console. And think about how much revenue that would drive for them. That's just me. So,
no, I like that idea. I mean, I've been pushing the 3-game thing for quite a while. Once they talked about Toe, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. Yeah. And the way they just talked about, I think they showed like a little commercial or something like that. I'm like, that's something that they could possibly do.
Keep in mind, again, keep in mind, Eve is trying to implement their FPS thing again. See, they evidently think there's money.
But aren't they doing the same thing that ED tried? Like they're using the same engine. They're kind of like
they're doing what they tried to do with Dust 514. Their failure with Dust 514 was that Eve players were on PCs and Dust players were on freaking Sony PlayStations, and the two at that time just did not mix well because those guys are hardcore PC players. And the kicker was, even if you own the console, you had to do one or the other, right? So all your friends are on PC and Eve. Now you got the console. Now you got to do a console. That was the worst possible decision. But the idea of implementing because remember, everything in Eve is in space. And you used to be able to do like mining and stuff on planets, but that was it. There was no going down on a planet. You had an overview of an area on a planet. You set your mining equipment down, and that was it. So there was a lot of interest in that going to FPS, but the way they did it was goofy. Now they're revisiting that whole thing. And if you look at it, Admiral, if you ever get a chance to look at the trailer, it looks really good. And my point is, Eve evidently thinks that there's something there for a space FPS. And I'm saying here's CIG creating a space FPS right under our noses that if they wanted to, I bet you if they put it on the console, they'd clean up. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, that's it for the roadmap, y'all. Oh, before we go any further, let's talk about the release view and stuff on the roadmap. As you guys know, we are in 3.20. Why is my thing not moving? Okay, I don't know why my screen won't roll, but okay, we're in 3.20 now. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so we know we got Seraphim Station. For gameplay, we got all this cool stuff down here. The new arena racetracks, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. So we're past 3.20, 3.21. Whoops. 3.20, 3.19, 3.21. Okay. So the new Crusader platforms are in. People were playing that like crazy the other day. I have not gone to do it yet, but I hear it's a lot of fun. So that's done. That's been released. For gameplay, the retrieve consignment mission. This was the mission I was trying to do with my friends last night. And they were down there for at least 2 hours, and I came down and joined them for another hour. I hate to say this, y'all. We couldn't get past the front door.
Was the door not working?
Wait, no. The hour, they got further when they went in the first time. The hour I was there, this is no joke. We never, you know how when you when you go down to the underground facility, you come off the elevator, you walk straight ahead, you hook a right, and then you've got those barricaded, like boxes and stuff, right? We never got past there.
Wow.
And there were at least 5 of us at one point.
Oh, I like this.
Now, it was brutal. Now, let me tell you this, though, gang. We were in a populated server of about 23 to 27 people.
Okay.
So the server population was super low. So the AI were coming like they were on us like white on rice. It was ridiculous as to how many of these jokers were coming out. And they were all in heavy armor. Everybody was in heavy armor. So the amount of ammo we were going through and using, I came down the elevator by myself. Everybody was upstairs trying to heal and grab stuff because I brought them a bunch of supplies. I went downstairs. They said there's a couple guys down by the elevator. There's at least then when I get the elevator on its way down, they said actually there's about 6 of them. Soon as I came, when you're coming down the elevator and you look downstairs, like right when you look downstairs, 3 of them were standing right there at the edge of the elevator. So other than them coming on the elevator, it was a monstrosity. Now I ended up killing about 17 of them before people came downstairs. And by then I was running low on ammo and I couldn't get off the elevator. So it was pretty intense. So I have not got a chance to do the consignment mission yet because you're supposed to get a code off of one of these guys and you're supposed to go to the machine, put the code in. We didn't even get there. We didn't even get that far. Vehicle tractor beams, those are in. CIG's been working on these. I had heard that you couldn't tow salvaged ships without getting a crime stat. And I didn't have that happen. I actually went out and found a cutter and towed it and brought it almost all the way to station just to test it. And I didn't have any problem with it. So
did you have the mission?
No, I didn't have the mission. I just went looking around to see if I could find something. So I don't know if it was a bug or a fluke or it just didn't happen to me, but the towing does work. And you guys know that the towing is kind of based upon what type of ship you have too. So,
now let me ask you about the FPS stuff you just talked about. Did you see them providing medical care for the NPCs?
Did I see NPCs providing medical care for NPCs?
Yeah.
I didn't see that because I was so busy killing people that nobody had time to like come up and help anybody. Because you remember, they had been there for an hour and a half before me. There were literally bodies stacked on top of bodies down there. You know how like when you see so many bodies,
I get that. But so what I'm trying to see now is that
whether AI was responding
firefight, and if the AI has and they're going to have the ability to save themselves. They're going to have the ability to provide medical care to other NPCs. It's going to be interesting if, like, who runs out of ammo, really? It sounds like it's going to be like a knife fight eventually because both sides are going to run out of ammo.
Exactly. Now, I didn't see anybody helping anybody up. I've seen that before. You know what else I've seen? I've seen them come strip stuff off of you before. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Mm.
The NPCs will actually come over you and take stuff off of you. I've seen that happen. Believe me, I saw it from a first-person perspective. I've seen them do that, but I didn't see it yesterday because the action was going on so much. Anything that moved, I was shooting. You know what I mean? Because I was the only person downstairs. But let's see.
Smoke grenade.
Okay. Yeah,
Smoke
Coffee
grenade.
says I've seen that. NPCs getting up their friends. Okay. Yeah, Captain Jones says the consignment missions gets bananas. Yeah, it was rough. It was really
So
rough.
in other words, Griff, you needed that reload crate.
I don't know, man. I needed a grenade launcher, man. It was like it was horrible. I mean,
reload crate in that was in.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. No, I needed. I'm telling you, I needed a grenade launcher because and see, we don't know if it might be a balance issue because so many people were coming continuously. What's supposed to happen is they're supposed to come in waves. Now, the other side of the coin is that once you start making noise, these jokers show up no matter what floor they're on. It's not like the old days where they stayed on their floor. You start shooting, they all start coming. So if you've got 10 or 15 people that are in there, you know, and you start shooting like that, no silencers or anything else, I didn't have a silencer on because they had already started fighting. Well, lo and behold, these guys were coming. They were coming. It was constant, you know. But again, it's still being worked on. You know what I mean? So it's not a finished product yet. The Steel Evidence mission is in. I have not done this one where you go to Korea. Haven't tried that one yet. Ship Trespass is in tentatively. We've been testing that. I know that they're still tweaking it, so we'll have to see how that goes. I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. The data heist missions, those are in. Those are committed. Haven't done that one yet either. All right, ship vehicles. We know the A1 Spirit is in. I finally got to fly this thing 2 days ago. Got to take it out and test it with the bombs. Safety tip of the day, please be above 3,000 meters when you drop a bomb. That's all I'm going to say. This is not an A2, it's an A1, but your ship will do a few somersaults if you're not high enough. Let's just say it that way.
So, because I've done that before. Did they change it a little bit? Did they make the bomb bigger?
Well, I wasn't trying to get away. I dropped one bomb and I, went to external view, 3,000 meters up because I wanted to see what
you weren't moving.
Like. I was moving, but I was not moving high speed because I want to see the bomb. I was moving at a decent clip.
So you were driving like
trying to escape.
Miss Daisy.
No, no. All I'm saying is, at 3,000 meters, I kept an even speed, not maybe 100, somewhere between 100 and 200, whatever. But I wasn't trying to get away. I really didn't think that the concussion was going to be that great since it's such a smaller bomb. All I'm saying is that the concussion of those bombs is pretty significant. So, yeah, be above 3,000 feet if you drop it. The C1 Spirit, I have yet to see this ship. I have yet to go in it. I know people were playing around with the tractor beam. Have any of you guys been in this one yet? Nope. Okay. All right. That one is in PTU, I think. It's not live, but it's in PTU. Tumbrel Storm. I've been watching some videos of this. People seem to be pretty happy with it. Some people think it's OP. I think I've heard the range on this thing is like 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question about that. The gun that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't done it myself. Now, you're supposedly be able to take a rail gun, right? And shoot down a how many hits does it take to take down like a Gladius or something?
I have no idea. We got some people in chat that might know. Hey, in chat, does anybody know how powerful this thing is? I know Captain Jones has probably tested it.
This thing would take out an arrow in, I think, 2 seconds, something like that.
Really?
I saw someone post a video about like different ships. I think he took down a Connie in about 10 seconds.
Wow.
It was pretty powerful. Like, I think the alpha damage in this is like something like, I don't know, 10 times what an average like size 3 is.
Woo, boy.
And it takes about 3 shots from a Nova tank to kill it.
It's an energy weapon?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
I know it's a little buggy because you can take out a 890 with it, in about, it takes like 10 minutes, I think.
Captain
But it
Jones.
actually gives hull damage while the shields are up, which is not supposed to happen.
Oh,
Because with an energy weapon, you're not supposed to have any, bypass
right. You got to go through the
damage.
shields first, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
there's that.
Yeah, Captain Jones says it takes out
Is it-
light fighters easy. It's an energy repeater. Oh, I didn't know it was an energy repeater. Wow.
Okay, so this thing is is it like a glass cannon?
Oh
It's like
no.
It's tough.
No,
is it
a Nova
tanky?
tank can shoot it three. It takes three hits from a Nova tank to kill this.
Oh, jeez,
wow.
OP.
Okay, yeah,
Mm.
that might need to change a little
Yeah,
bit.
Jeez,
That might need
OP.
to change a little bit.
That's what I'm
Okay,
wondering how.
Yeah.
It has a low
That-
signature too. He says Captain Jones has a low signature.
Wow.
But here's the
okay.
other side of the coin too. You know,
They'll change it.
balancing's always funny, right? And
Mhm.
even when they nerf stuff or raise stuff up, it's all going to change and eventually get balanced out. So, if it's OP right now, and the other thing too is that they're moving closer and closer to getting us to a place where they will start implementing armor and stuff. So who knows? It may stay where it is and they may start implementing some other stuff. Then again, if Kai was here, he'd say it's a marketing thing, right? Because everybody's going to buy it because this thing kills everything. So, and it's true from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
You get that word out that this thing is blowing everything out the water. People are going to be melting their Nova tanks to buy this thing, So,
but could that be considered a bait and switch?
Well, you know what? Hey, this is what I say. Most of us have been around long enough to know better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you get it, just say, okay, I'm getting it for what it's gonna be, not what it is today, because you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Because if it stays that way, icing on the cake, right? But if it drops, if you dropped, you've mentally prepared yourself that it's because obviously, I don't know though. Man, this is a tough question. Should this is an energy repeater? Should this thing be as strong as a Nova tank? I don't know if it should be that strong.
No, I mean not the cannon. It shouldn't be as strong as the cannon on the Nova tank. To me, I mean,
yeah, that Nova tank should be able to see. And here's the balance. What Admiral said. This thing should be designed. If it's an energy weapon, it should be really the thing that wears down somebody's shields.
Right, exactly.
And then that freaking Nova tank comes in with that shell, and boom, it's over with.
Boom.
You know what I mean? One hit,
kill shot.
One hit. Yeah. Right. I understand why they made this a repeater because that would make sense. But boy, oh boy.
Yeah, right now this thing is just melting light fighters.
Yeah, but see,
you have the AA unit. Out?
I think
is that
they
out?
did. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, not out.
No, it's not out. Okay.
I think though, it shouldn't I mean, I think light fighters should fear it, but not to the point where it's like 2 seconds and you're gone.
Oh,
but I think light fighters should be like, oh, okay, let me stay out of its range. You
got to be good. I mean, you got to be a good person targeting and a terrible pilot, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Now, mind you, they can catch you unaware. You decide to go hover somewhere, not paying attention, and one of these suckers is hit up in the cliff somewhere. You can get taken out. Shady says it's not as strong as a Nova tank. And Pops, to answer your question, it is in PTU. It's not in the live. Okay. All this stuff is in PTU that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I was just asking the question: how does it fit with the that versus the railgun? Something someone's carrying on their back.
Oh no, that's way better than a railgun. Oh, way better than a railgun.
That's
way better than a railgun. Yeah.
And the one thing that detracts from it is the fact you don't have the angle, so you do have a limited elevation on the tube.
Yep.
So if a ship does go high over it, you can't get it. And I had this issue in the Nova tank where I was at Jumptown way back in the day, and I was trying to put the Nova tank up a mountain so I could kind of point up to hit a hammerhead, because I just didn't have the elevation. So that's kind of the thing that detracts from that. But and someone said it here. It's very hard to find these things. Like any ground vehicle right now has a very low signature.
Yeah, you put that thing out in the tree somewhere, nobody even knows it's out there. Yeah, imagine put some freaking green camouflage on that sucker, and you can forget about it.
Griff, you read my mind. Brother, you were in there and you pulled it out. I am thinking that same thing. A blind, some type of blind that we should be able to have.
It's cool though. It's very cool. Yeah. All right, then there's the SRV that's in the game. We got to go out. I went out with Admiral and who was that? We were with Zombie Pig, Admiral.
Not me.
Wasn't you?
I haven't been with this SRV yet.
It was Zombie Pig, me, and it was Ops Chief. It was Ops Chief, and I got to try out. Well, I brought a 100i or something, and they brought the SRVs, 2 SRVs out, and we got to see the towing process. And what was cool was at one point they were both locked onto my ship, and it was interesting to see how they had to coordinate movement because one person moved the ship a certain kind of way, the other person moved it a certain kind of way. So we didn't get the chance to take out a bigger ship. We did take a Connie out. A Connie was the most that the SRV could pull, but it struggled. It really pulled on it. And when we went into atmosphere, because we knew it could handle a light ship, but we said, let's take it into atmosphere and see what happens. And it was so funny. Zombie Pig had to keep his speed up because if he tried to just hover, the Connie would swing underneath him and then start dragging us both down. So he had to keep his momentum going forward in order for us to, stay in flight. And then when it came time to him to bringing us down, he could not settle down. He couldn't slow down enough to just, land like we would normally land. He literally had to shut off the beam. Otherwise, he'd end up dragging me. And I had to kind of crash. I was very low to the ground when I crashed. I didn't take a lot of damage. But a Connie is a struggle for this ship. In atmosphere, in space, you can do it. But once you get in atmosphere, and this is going to be another factor, once gravity, the weight of your cargo, all that other stuff starts getting factoring in, now you may need 2 SRVs. Definitely 2 to carry it without any cargo. But you would definitely need a couple SRVs to move a ship of that scale. And then maybe, once you start getting more, maybe you need 3, 4, maybe you need 4 SRVs to get certain ships out of atmosphere. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this type of gameplay is going to come out because people are going to have to, like right now, when you do shipping, there's a laden weight that you have to know about when you're moving something. And if you're departing from someplace and the atmosphere is a certain type of way or the gravity is a certain kind of way, you may have to determine, I can only take 80% of this stuff because at 100%, I can't get out of here. That may be a real factor later on when it comes to moving cargo. Everybody's so used to maxing out their cargo, but you may max your cargo out and find out you can't even get off the ground. Or you'll need an SRV or 2 to help you get out. Once you're in space, you're good. But in atmosphere, you're stuck.
So, Pops, if you're ever doing if you ever doing one of these runs, I have another one. So if you need help, give me a IM me.
Okay.
All right, then last but not least, the Drake Cutter Scout. I haven't had a chance to see this one yet, to play around with this. I'm really curious to see how well this is going to sell. Seems like a lot of people were willing to even trade their original cutter for this one because there were some improvements done to it. And for people who are interested in having like a starter explorer that has a little bit of everything in it, this seems to be something that's pretty popular with people. And last but not least, replication layer is still being worked on. You guys know that this is so vital to us being able to expand the Star Citizen universe and to move into other systems. And we saw great demonstrations and explanations of what the replication does. I'm not going to repeat it because you guys already know it, but it is coming together very well. And so let's hope they nail this down because right now they feel pretty comfortable with it, but they're just tweaking it. But after this comes the static, which they're already working on. Static server meshing is the next area that we're working to go into so that we can start going into these other systems.
So with this, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Would this have to do with the jump gates that we're hoping to get soon?
The jump, I'm gonna tell you every time you say this phrase, Pops, I always want to say, be careful about jump gates.
Jump.
Yeah, they're actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, because if Pops is right, then I'm wrong. But my understanding is that these are jump points, right? That's what we call them on the map. They're jump points, hence the Jump Point magazine and all that other stuff. And we're jumping through wormholes. Usually when it's a gate, it's a manufactured means of traveling through space.
Now, from what I've heard, we're supposed to have both.
I've heard people say that. I ain't seen CIG say that. And the reason why I know why people said it, remember the first time we went through Pyro, they went through a gate. Remember?
Right.
And even Star Jump's video, he has gates. Now there may be, maybe I'm wrong. Is there a gate? If there is, y'all tell me, because Pops might be hitting the gold and I just didn't see it. I just know that for the longest time, most of our phenomenon were natural phenomenon in space. They were wormholes.
I'm going. Well, I mean, I know it's outdated.
Mhm.
I'm going by the video that was when I forget the young lady that went through the gate with the carrot. So
That's what I was referring to. The first time we went through Pyro,
right?
we went through a gate.
Okay.
And again, there may be, but we know there's no gate going to Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I'm saying I don't know. Maybe CIG is going to do a gate. You know, if it
I
was
just-
in their trailer, maybe they're going to do it.
I just want to know where we get these codes that I can put into my Mobi device so I can open up the iris on the other side so I don't slam against the metal wall.
Well, I don't know. But if there, listen, Pops,
Stargate reference.
I know. I'm not against gates. I'm not against wormholes. I'm not whatever the case may be. You know, I just know that whenever they showed us the entry into Pyro, and I'm talking about their final version, like when we saw Jax go to Pyro, he went through a wormhole. And even now, when they showed us at CitizenCon, we lined up at the jump point. We went through that, you know, that little narrow lane. But ultimately, that was a wormhole, a natural phenomenon that we went through in space. Now, gates, it's interesting, too, because gates have a lot of weird history. Some gates were there to create a space, quote unquote, fictional. And then some were there supposedly to stabilize a wormhole. Okay. And I don't know in Star Citizen what those gates will be there for. And who owns them and who operates them for that matter at that point. Maybe the UEE does, you know what I mean? Because they've got the wherewithal to do that. But maybe when you're out in rogue space, you know, it's just a typical wormhole. There's no gate per se. But that's a good question. CIG stated that the jump points are going to have some changes that they'll talk about in the future. Okay, Shady.
Okay.
All right, we'll buy that for $1.
They're toll booths, Griff. You got to reach your hand out the window.
You got to check in. You got to show your passport. You got to show your passport.
Put coins in the basket.
Yeah,
they also
coins in the
just
basket.
Yeah.
go off of Shady.
Easy pass.
That reminds me of to.
Were you gonna say?
Yeah, to go off of Shady's thing. They just talked about having to do like gate sizes and ship sizes because you know I know we've just talked like execute about stuff like we just talked about that like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and they just did like a post I think last week, and they did say that there's going to be a change regarding ship sizes and gate.
There's definitely a change in ship sizes because they had told us originally that the Freelancer was the largest ship that would go through a small wormhole. And now they said the Zeus is now the larger one. So that's a change already. So we'll have to see what they come up with.
And that's another reason to I didn't buy the Zeus because I have a Taurus, but it's like, oh, well, now I can't use it.
But now you go to a medium, right? But then you're at a medium, right? Exactly. Yeah, you step up automatically. Since there are undiscovered jump points out there, you will be able to indicate gates that are required. You should able to use should indicate jumps are required. Oh, okay, gates are required. Okay, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to do a little research on that, Pops, because I've been back and forth about it. You know, because like you said, we've shown the video with them going through the gate, but then it came back later and we went through a wormhole. So it's like, okay, which one is it? You know, because I remember them talking about wormholes having multiple entrances and exits too. So that they don't, since you don't get a thing where people can camp one particular spot. You know what I mean? Right.
But I did a little bit of research on it, but I mean,
well, you may be right then. You may be right. That may be the case.
For the video that we did, and we just said jump gate because we were just gonna,
And like I said, even Star Jump, when he did his video with the Aegis video, he showed them coming through a gate.
Yeah.
And he keeps up with CIG stuff all the time. So you guys might be right. Okay, player hair, we just talked about that. 20 new hairstyles coming up. Location, new derelict settlements, we just talked about that. Gameplay, salvage, this is cool. Structure, transform large chunks of metal from salvage ships into refinable material. Folks are looking forward to this, being able to grind. Cargo containers, putting containers inside of other containers. We already have up to 32 SCU containers, but now they want you to be able to put stuff inside of stuff, which means that they will open up, as you can see, and you can put boxes inside of boxes, which is cool.
Do you think people will be upset of the amount of time they're going to have to take to put a box inside of another box and then load the box onto something that's
no, I think doing that, not really, Because I've tried to
Okay.
do the math on loading ships now. So, like, let's use, for example, I mean, I'm not worried about boxes inside of boxes as much as I'm worried about other items. Because notice they say smaller items inside of cargo boxes. So what this does is give you, there are some items that don't attach to grids necessarily. And so if you're doing weapons, like you guys have tried to take weapons off of a ship and put them on a grid. And sometimes they sit there, sometimes they move around. They're saying here that if you decide to be a weapons seller and you want to sell 20 weapons, or you've traded from the Banu and you've got 10 weapons, they're not going to give you 10 individual weapons. They're going to give you a box with 10 weapons in it. And then you can go into the box and pull out those weapons and sell them or trade them or whatever. I'm not so much worried about boxes inside of boxes. But even if that is the case still, if you've got a 32 SU box full of stuff, that's 20 boxes to fill up a C2. Am I doing my math right? Is that right, y'all? 20 boxes fills a C2. C2 is like 640 something containers, I think it is. So 20 SCU containers. I moved 3 or 4 32 SCU containers the other day with a multi-tool in about 3 minutes. Didn't take that long. I was in space, so I'm dealing with no gravity, but still I had to bring them into the C2, position them, drop them in the right place, and then go back to the far end of the C2 and get the next one. It didn't take that long to do it. About 30 seconds per box, to be honest with you, 30 to 40 seconds. So if you've got a couple people doing it, no big deal.
Yeah, we were out with Meg the other day, and we were moving things around, and I think it adds to gameplay, it adds to immersion. You create that assembly line because that's what Meg and them were doing,
right?
And I think that really helps to get you really into the game instead of just place a whole you just get a whole bunch of squares right there where you have to actually pack it.
Yeah, I think that CIG balancing the numbers, Admiral, to one SCU 2 4, going up in scale, 12, whatever is 24, 32. I think that's their way of countering and balancing out time versus satisfaction. There is a mechanic there that we have to do, but it doesn't become so laborious that you feel like, God, I can't believe it's taking me so long to do this. Now, I will say this, and Admiral and I had this conversation before. I think that game players, their sense of gratification is going to shift. Over the years, our sense of gratification has been about end of something, the final whatever it is. In other words, when I make the transaction or when I finish the mission. But I think that there's going to be a feeling of satisfaction that says that I finished the task. Was I able to get certain things done? So maybe, like to Admiral's point, if I'm by myself and I'm the sole player, and maybe I'm just getting started, I don't have a lot of money. So if I want to fill my freelancer max, the fact that I got everything purchased off the elevator and into the ship gives me a sense of accomplishment. I didn't get to my destination yet. I didn't sell it yet. I didn't put the money in the bank. But the fact that I got that much done becomes a place of satisfaction. Now, when I come back the next day, when I have more time, I've had time to map out and chart out where I'm going to go. My ship is ready. I've made sure all my components are good. Everything's tuned. I'm ready to go. I've checked out my route that I want to take. And now I hit space. And then I spend my time getting to wherever that next destination is. And then if I make it there successfully, that's a level of accomplishment because all that work that I put in for that gives me a satisfaction area. Now, when I get there, I go and I get my stuff and I unload it and I sell it. That gives me those 3 levels of satisfaction where before we've been so used to jump in a ship, fly there, drop it off, boom. And there was no satisfaction that much in between when I left and when I got there. So I think that building in these things where we actually have to engage in activity, it's not just push the button and the ship is automatically loaded. When my ship is loaded, I mean, how many times have you loaded up a ship after you got through doing a drug run? And when you see that ship filled up and you close that door, it feels good. You know what I'm saying? Like we got it done. Now we got to get out of here. That's the level of satisfaction. And I think that they have to build that into gameplay to kind of reprogram some of our minds, because we've been so used to just one level of satisfaction. And then when we get there, we bored. Now, what do we do next? You see what I'm saying? But I just spent 3 days worth of gameplay doing that one thing, and each level of satisfaction continued to grow and got better.
Do you think people will, like, pirates will be like more wary of, like, because I'm assuming now, instead of seeing like scanning a ship and be like, oh, this ship all has, you know, like the one thing that was in the cargo container. Now you're gonna see 2, 10, like 20 things in per like one cargo container. You just gonna be like, have so much information on your screen. You're gonna be like, I'll just wait for the Hull A to come by.
That might be because even like you said, if you detect, like, let's say you detect somebody in their max, and they're carrying a little bit of everything, you know, everything from copper to freaking laranite, whatever, or bexelite. There's only so much time you have to decide on whether or not that's going to be worth your taking. Secondly, all traders are not Care Bears. There are some traders out here who know how to fight. They know how to fight that freaking freelancer max and defend themselves. There are some people who will be flying with a full crew. And you may feel that you can go out and see, this is where it gets tough, because we talked about this. Solo playing raises your level of risk. It raises your level of reward because you don't have to split stuff with people, but it does bring a certain higher level of risk. And so people are so worried about, that's why I said, balancing making money credits in the game and succeeding have to be comparable. Because if it's driven strictly by economy, we can get to a point where the only time we get any satisfaction is when we make money. And then the work to do it becomes what we call a grind, or we just get burnt out from doing it. But if doing it also brings a certain level of reward and money becomes the icing on the cake, then it's the whole cake at that point. Now, it takes a lot to develop a game to that level where players feel a certain level of satisfaction in going through the motions. And at the same time, when the reward comes, it feels well worth all of the work that we did. But when we get to a point where it's a grind, we don't feel that way. We feel like I'm only doing this so that I can get to this. And that's when people get burnt out with games, you know.
I think to your point, though, Griff, that the mechanic that we're all looking for is Quanta. Because Quanta is supposed to keep, if I'm understanding, Quanta is supposed to keep you on your toes.
Quanta can,
right.
Quanta can, but I was really kind of going more along with and to your point, Quanta could be the balancer for those pirates too, right? Because right now everything in our world is based around us as players, and Quanta will bring in new variables. Because when I go into space, it may not be the human players I have to worry about, right? It's traveling through this certain area of space. This particular gang happens to be in that area of space. I decided to use a traffic lane because my fuel didn't allow me to take a circumvented route. I have to go this way because my fuel only allows me, but it also puts me in the trade lanes. Now I'm gambling. What are my odds that I'm the person that gets stuck? Maybe it's the guy behind me or the guy in front of me, and I make it through. Maybe this time I don't. And maybe that's strictly because, like you said, just strictly because of Quanta, right? But then again, maybe it's a human player. You know, I think to cap Admiral's point, though, I think piracy is going to change. It's not the piracy that we get now. A lot of people worry about the gankers and the griefers. There's always going to be griefers in the game, but I also think that the griefing gets minimized a lot more when there's a lot more stuff to do. And so piracy, I think pirates, just like me, the cargo guy, has to think out my stuff. The pirates are going to have to put just as much energy into it. Sometimes things weigh more toward one side than the other because the game's not balanced, but it's CIG's job and responsibility to put that balance in there so that whoever wins, whether it's the pirate or me, there's a feeling of accomplishment. Have you ever done something in the game against somebody else and it was a fair fight? And when you do, what do we say? Good game.
GG.
That's what we say. When I got pirated, I lost like 600,000 to somebody. I didn't get pissed off about it. I went into a scenario by myself in a C2, nobody in my gun thing, took a chance. These guys were on it. They hit me with the right stuff. They didn't blow me up. They captured my ship. They came with 3 other ships loaded up. What am I going to get mad about? What am I going to get mad about? What I get mad about is my dumb self went out there by myself. But I thought it was cool. I thought, oh, okay, these boys were on their stuff. Now, mind you, if I went out there and they just blew me up, I might have been mad. I could have said, well, that was my fault too, because I only had one person. But the fact that they decided to play it out, they didn't role play, but they did piracy. And so for me, it was like, okay, I sat there and watched them unload my ship, sat in the engine cowling on my ship, hiding from them, watching them back that C2 up to mine, and I could hear their feet running across the floor inside my ship as they were beaming stuff out, It was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I have to agree. We were out with Nihilus one day. Nihilus, he said something that surprised me. He said, man, I like the feeling of the fear.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
When you, instead of just go there, A to B, you got your money. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
People
why
like
I
that.
say, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, I'm done.
No, I'm just saying that's why I said Quana is going to bring to me a big point of, not like you said, not just like a gang, but hopefully AI is really robust and works well. You got to think about animals.
Mm-hmm.
You down there trading and doing something and grabbing something up. You like you said, and you got to think you might land on a hive of those crabs. You don't know. You don't stirred up the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
And what you gonna do now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's you said it earlier too. There's tons of things to think about. There's environmental threats. There's creature threats, right? There's human threat. There are the different NPC threats that are in the game. There's even the threats of your own ship. There's mechanical failure, wear, all that other stuff, right? So when you've got all these variables to think about in the game, and you're able to, for lack of a better term, beat those variables, that's a level of accomplishment. But because we don't feel those variables yet, our accomplishment is very limited, right? There's maybe only 3 of those things out of 10 or 12 that really impact us right now, right? Did I run into another player? Let's see. What are the variables you got to worry about? The only variable you got to worry about right now is, did you run into another player? That's it, right? But wear and tear is not a factor. Switching out tuning in my components isn't a factor. Fuel consumption isn't really a factor. You know what I mean? NPCs are not a factor. Creatures aren't a factor. Environments aren't a factor. So you see what I'm saying? So when all of those things are now subconsciously going on when we're playing the game, it's going to give us an entirely different feel of accomplishment than just worrying about, did somebody gank me on my way somewhere? Okay. All right, Arena Commander, let's get through these. The new maps, we just talked about these 2 new maps rather, and the multi-crew play. And then last but not least, there are some ships scheduled for 322. The Apoa, Santok Yai. I'm hoping we see this on the floor. Not flyable, but on the floor. I would love to see what this thing looks like. I keep seeing the images. And since they're kicking off with Alien Day for IAE, I would love to see this thing on the floor. And then, of course, the Origin X1s. One of the last, actually the last of the manufacturer bikes so far. Someone else could produce one. But Origin, in fact, we know somebody else is going to produce one. But for right now, the ones we know about for sure, the X1 series will be coming out next. The Velocity.
You know what I love about that picture there?
What's that?
How streamlined the foot section.
Yeah,
it's very angled.
Well, this is an interesting vehicle. I didn't realize it, Admiral. I had always hoped that the shield on this ship enclosed this completely, and it doesn't.
I didn't think that, but I mean the foot section.
Oh, I know what you're talking about down here. Yeah, the way this is down here at the bottom. I get it, the way that drops in. Because this actually moves. Yeah, it actually animates in once you step into that. I know they've got the cowling, the little fin out here now, but this is actually a very cool design. Again, concept art is one thing, final product is another. We'll see what it looks like when it's all said and done. I'm just saying, I had hoped, just like how the G12 was enclosed, I kept hoping that this would be enclosed.
Oh no, I agree. I want to be able to go underwater with that thing. But I know some people watching this have an issue because this has more like a a motorcycle feel, and the way it looks like we're getting it, it has more of a scooter feel because it's not as angled and you're more like kind of your legs going there like you're on a scooter instead of like a like a motorcycle. So it'll be interesting to see what they actually come out with.
It will be. You're absolutely right. Okay, that's it on the map. I didn't mean to hang in there that long. I was going to do the progress tracker, but maybe I'll save that for next week.
I missed the AA. Was it in there?
Oh
no, because they didn't release it.
No,
yet.
yeah, not yet. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into IAE because we are already 5 minutes away from our kickoff here. Let's talk about IAE. We are 23 hours, 37 minutes away from the big day. Let's see, is that right? That clock right? Seems like it's a little long. 20 hours. There we go. I was going to say that seemed like that was a little late. Had to refresh my browser. All right, 20 hours, 4 minutes away. IAE returns. We're going to test fly over 100 spaceships and vehicles for free. New vehicle announcements, special edition vehicle paints, in-game items. We'll see you there. We already took a look at this video last week. We're not going to do that again. Here is our schedule. Once again, we start out in the Apex Hall on tomorrow and Saturday with Gatak. Please don't forget that these days overlap. Sometimes people miss manufacturers because they forget when certain manufacturers drop. So if Gatak starts on Friday, they go for 2 days, but Aegis will start on Saturday, and they will be in a different hall for 2 days. And then when Gatak is finished, then it will go to Crusader and Tumbril in Apex Hall, and they stagger, so keep that in mind. BBG, hey buddy, good to see you. Thank you so much for the 550 round wonderful bits. Appreciate you. Thank you. Almost over. What's going on? This is going to be a 29-hour stream. No, it's not going to be a 29-hour stream. We're going to be done in the next 15 minutes, brother. I can tell you that now. Okay. Anyway, we've got Aegis, then Crusader Tumbril, Origin, Drake Planetary, Argo Console. Looks like everybody's going to be represented as always. But on the 26th, this is new. They just started doing this, I think, the last IAE. There will be a Weapons and Armor Best in Show Day where the Best in Show ships are up. The 4 Best in Show ships, you guys help me out here. The 600i is one. The Drake Corsair is one. The is it the Cutter? No. The Vulture is one. And what's the other one, y'all? I'm forgetting the other one. There are 4 ships that won this year. Anybody remember?
No idea.
The Best in Show?
Yeah.
The 600, the Corsair,
the Vulture. The Scorpius. The Scorpius?
No, because I would know that when I have a Scorpius.
Is that the Scorpius?
Yeah. No.
I don't know what it is. I can't remember. But anyway.
I know those 3.
The Redeemer. There we go. Thank you, Risto.
Redeemer.
The Redeemer. Okay, the Redeemer. The Redeemer's getting a little glory this year. So, of course, I got to say this. They got a freaking fabulous paint color this year, which I love. Purple is my color, and I own 2 of these ships. I own the Vulture and I own the 600i. So I am excited to see that. What do you mean? Oh, that's just to get an email. I could care less about an email. Where's the Q&A thing for this? They said they're going to put a Q&A out. Am I missing a link? Huh, no. Okay.
I looked for it. I didn't see it. The only thing I saw was the email.
Yeah, I didn't see the thing for it either, but okay. All right. Let me open up one more window here just to make sure that CIG didn't. Sometimes they be dropping stuff while the show be on, and you'd be like, oh, there it is. Roadmap Roundup, interconnect this, Star System Live. Nope, nothing there. And nothing there. Monthly report, subscriber promotion. Nope. Okay. We're not crazy after all. Well, we are crazy, but it's not there. All right. Okay. Last but not least, I did want to hit on one last subject here as we talk about IAE. I opened up the show a little bit talking about this. What do you guys think about this year in CIG's revenue? I had someone say recently that they had heard some people expressing concern about CIG and revenue. And to be fair, you guys know the number at the top of the screen there is $624 million That's the amount of revenue that CIG has brought in thus far with the project. And what I want to show here or focus in on here is looking at where they are now and where they were in the last couple of years. So right here, we're at $624 million, which is exceeding what they made in 2020. In 2020, they were here. Their total pledge was 339 million, something like that. Okay. And then in 2021, we are slowly creeping up on the numbers here in December. This is the end of year, mind you. We're talking about end of year. They're ahead of where they were. You can see where the red is here. So they're ahead of where they were in 2020. They're ahead of where they were in 2021. But between 2022 and 2023, I want to look at this map and talk about what we see here. In particular, they began the year off fairly strong in the month of January. But then when they got to February, things slacked off. And if you guys remember, this is when we were struggling with coming out of 318. I think if I'm remembering correctly, 318 went into our hands, and this is when people were really having difficulty logging in, playing the game, and all that stuff. And you can see it was reflected. They made less money that month than they did in 2022, 2021, and 2020. It only got less back in 2019, which is interesting. So this month was very low. Then in March, they bounced back. The numbers got pretty good. April, numbers were moderate, more than what they did in 2020 and 2021. 2022 was still more. But then comes Invictus, 2023, May. And their numbers do fairly well. I don't remember what the big deal was last year at Invictus. Does anybody remember what it was? Because Invictus made a lot of money. Now, I will say this. There was a lot of funny feelings going on with people coming in out of that 318 period. You guys remember that. People were not that happy. And a lot of people weren't even wanting to play the game. Then Invictus came around and started to reinvigorate people a little bit this year. Was there any special ship sale this year at Invictus? Does anybody remember?
I don't recall. I don't.
That was that May? You said April, May?
Yeah, this is May.
When did the Banu thing? When did the word on the Banu Merchantman happen?
That was this year too, but the Banu Merchantman wasn't sold at Invictus. That's the military sale. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't remember if anything big, but my point is they did fairly well coming out of the slump of these other months. But here was Alien Week in June, and look at the difference. Nothing special was done during Alien Week, right? And then there's another pattern here. Notice the income revenue drops more and more. This is when we started getting those moments of discontent, right? People were feeling kind of salty, and this is the slow period. Always between July and August, things start to temper down, right? Revenue's down, pledge increases down by 39%. Folks are feeling some kind of way, right? And even when we get to September, the numbers start to go from minus 39% to what? 0.8. So optimism starts to kick in again here in September because CitizenCon is coming up. And we started getting things happening in late September, remember? Stuff starts happening, start getting more information, even though ISC and stuff was still kind of slow, but people were starting to get pumped up about CitizenCon. Now, one thing I do want to go to, Black Intellect touched on something here that I want to talk about. Last year, they made a tremendous amount of revenue, but it was also, remember, the year that CIG, even though they had started already on development, this was them moving into their new headquarters. A lot took place last year, too. And there was some concerns about whether CIG was biting off more than they could chew, especially post-COVID. People were a little bit concerned about whether or not they were bringing in enough money. And evidently, it seems like they were doing fine, that they did okay. The Antares. Thank you, Risto. That was the ship for last year. So my question to you here is, if you look at what happens here in October, and now we're in November, October compared to last year when there was a CitizenCon did very well. In fact, this October did better than any other year. In fact, it doubles, almost triple. It does. It triples some of these previous CitizenCons, right? Yeah. So a lot of revenue came in here. My question is, how do you guys think this is going to happen for the rest of this year? Now, here's my point. If they made what, 100? How much did they make last year? 539. Okay. So I'm not expecting CIG to beat this year. I'm not saying they won't. I'm saying that right now, we're just now not even at the middle of, we're at the middle of November. We are middle of November. This is where we are right now already. We haven't even done IAE yet. So if IAE does well, I think that they can make this easily. Easily. Now, whether December is going to be good, we'll see. Holiday month, a whole lot of other stuff going on. I don't know. But how do you guys think CIG is doing performing? Do you think they're doing okay financially? I think they are, but what do you guys think?
I think they are doing great financially. And I know that remember the article that came out? The person said, well, they bought, I think it was something about a door or something. CIG bought a real expensive door.
What do you mean, way back when? That RSI door?
It was this year. It was this year.
Oh, really?
There was an article. There was an article.
Oh, I missed that
came out. An ex-employee. No, you've seen it. An employee that used to work at CIG came up with this article. And they said CIG is hurting for money. And most of us that knew that it was ridiculous.
This was them talking about them with the new studio and talking about all the new furniture and everything in the doors that they did for the new place. I remember that.
They overspent on this. The person said, "Oh, they overspent." Yeah, so they still did. They sold the furniture to pay for CitizenCon. That's what they did. So it was a ridiculous article. So to say that they're hurting for money, absolutely they're not hurting for money. And I'm going to kind of jump the gun here. When Squadron 42 comes out, come on, that bar you see there, that thing's probably going to double. That whole graph is going to double. So they are not hurting for money in any way, shape, or form.
Captain Jones, I'm with you. I think they're going to make a ton of money. Let's talk about why.
Oh.
From my understanding, that is the AA module that goes on the Storm. This goes to show that they are working on this modularity idea even for vehicles. Now, that's a ton of stuff there.
I don't understand what I'm looking at, though. Are they saying that there's...
Remember, there was... If you remember... let me refresh your memory.
I know how it attaches to the vehicle. I just don't understand if they're talking multiple launches are going to be used.
Plus, a few new surprise.
That right there.
Yep. No, I get that. And that goes on the
maybe on the Storm.
Nah, definitely. I definitely think it.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, how many people you think gonna buy that thing up?
Well, I'm gonna buy it right now. So I can buy it.
I told you that red bar. I'm about to make that red bar just expand.
If people bought the Storm, they're definitely going to buy this. And if they didn't buy the Storm, they're going to think about the Storm. Because now what you've done is you've created a modular tank. What does this say visually to all of the male egos out there? I don't know about the female egos because I can't speak to female egos, but male egos, That's a lot of freaking firepower looking him in the face. And so I could very easily see these things alone selling like crazy, and people who maybe didn't buy the Storm will now look at the Storm as an option. Now, they may implement this in some other form, even for the Nova later, because the Nova was supposed to have modularity too. They haven't introduced anything yet. But the fact that they're moving modularity to vehicles now is an interesting prospect. Okay.
Is it supposed to be able to carry all of that?
No.
Or
These are
just-
Admiral.
oh.
Admiral will tell you whenever they show you something like that, they're showing
Is
you
it-
what it is able to do. Not that you can do all that at one time.
Yeah,
but
I'm
all
like,
those different ammo types are what you can use on it. So
I'm
you
just
Okay.
confused
Yeah.
because like is the one on the ends, is that
Mhm.
supposed to fit in the current version now? Because it doesn't seem like it would fit because it's too long, and because you've got two stack. Oh, wait a minute, are those stacked?
those are
or are
stacked. I think they're
Yeah,
stacked.
I think they're. I think there's 8. I don't know. It looks like maybe there's 8 there
Yeah.
and not 4, but on the ends.
Yeah.
So I can't tell what that is.
It's
If
hard to
it's
tell.
8, if it's
Mhm.
4, it needs to go longer. The
Yeah.
launcher needs to go longer.
It looks
That's
like
why I think it's
it, and correct me if I'm wrong,
8.
Admiral. It looks like this is broken into 4s, so there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these in one of
Yeah,
these.
that'd be 4 for 4.
But you could do these 16s as 4, 4, 4, and 4, because there's 4 doors there. That would be the
And
other
you
way.
could probably stack those up because
Yeah.
there's enough room.
Mm-hmm.
You could have. Well, actually, you'd have 4, 6, 8. Yes, 60 to 32. Yeah, you could probably get 32 size ones into
That'd be
that.
crazy. Mm-hmm. That would be crazy. So this is one reason why they're gonna make money. Here's another reason.
Mm-hmm.
This. Let me read you. I'm gonna read this. This stuff's on Reddit and everywhere, guys. So it ain't like I had to steal and break into anything to get this. the Siulan.
Oh, that's how you said.
It is. Its focus is cargo. The Siulan cargo vessel has been artfully crafted by the renowned House of Gatak to be well suited for both human and Xian pilots. With a refined, agile frame, the Siulan lends itself to ferrying important deliveries across the universe, or as the ideal ship, check this out, for those making a transport career debut. So this is intended for people who want to come in interested in a starter that want to start doing cargo runs. Now, again, you've got what would be the papa to this one, or the mama to this, which would be the Raylan. But this ship, check this out. There's a gray box of it, so you guys can see. Okay. But look at the scale on that. And if you guys have never seen a Raylan before, a Raylan is big. It
Okay,
looks small, but it is big.
So I'm a little confused with the size because from what I saw, it was a lot smaller.
Well, let me show you another one. So that puts it against the Drake Cutter in scale. Now, mind you, it only looks big because the freaking arms are stuck out on it.
Like
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's the only reason why it looks big, because of the design thing. When it shrinks, it's smaller when the wings come in and stuff. But it's an interesting design. And
yeah, it lands like a little bit like the last Starfighter. Because it lands like they close and they land up on tips of the starfish ends.
Yeah.
And then I think the seat goes down to the ground or something like that.
Yeah, it's got an interesting design to it. Now, my question is, there are a lot of people who don't like alien ships. Do you think people will buy this thing, or do you think they'll say, it's an alien ship, I don't want it?
I think it's pretty damn cool, actually.
I think the cool factor is what people are going to go for. Now,
I don't think it has a lot of cargo.
Well, let me give you what I do know about it. It has 3 size 3 laser repeaters on it. This may not be final, y'all, so take it for what it's worth. 3 size 4 Gamma quad missile racks and 12 size 2 Ignite missiles on it. So this thing's got some defensive capability.
Do you know where the missiles go?
You know what though?
Nope.
I wish
Premium
though.
front portion.
Nope. But it's
I
all
kinda-
size 1 components except for the shields. The shields are size 2.
The only thing though, Griff,
Mm.
when I look at this design, and I understand that we got the game mechanics, but when I see the design of this ship, I almost see a beam, not laser repeaters. I see a beam
Something comes
coming
out of
from
it.
those three, and you've seen that
I know
before,
what you're talking about.
where the
That would
three
be
and they
cool.
converge and they come into one.
That would be
That would
cool.
be so cool.
It would be cool.
I mean, because it would stay with the alien feel.
Well, let's say this. Let's hope that CIG does something like what you're saying, Fist, because the Banu Defender is like that, right? And they took it off right now because the tachyons are just too much. But it would be cool if they created a very specific Xion type weapon, not using human weapons, but actually create something that's Xion. Now, mind you, they could do that. They could, since this is a human designed ship, and then they could make it as a part of gameplay, right? Like, remember how we talked about the Vandul weapons that we saw in Pyro in the Jax video? Maybe if you own a blade, you can actually go buy, illegally, there'll be black market, but maybe you actually could go buy Vandul weapons and put them on your Vandal ship, or maybe even your human ship, I don't know, for compatibility's sake. But it would be cool if there is Xion type weapons too, not just Xion ships. I agree with you. That would be cool. 3 beams coming out, going to the center, and boom, something very quick. That'd be kind of neat. Or even from the tips, but
Before
we'll
you
see.
get off that screen, you'll notice the front has 4 little dots on each wing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we think is the missile
Ooh.
launch.
Ooh. Wow. Now that would be cool.
Really?
Yeah, and there's 12 of them. That makes sense. You might be hitting it, Admiral. Wow.
That'd be,
Woo. That'd be very interesting. I like that. All right, so that's the Sayulan. And then we've got this one. We're talking about whether they're going to make some more money. CIG told us a year ago that they were going to produce this 4th mining ship that would land between the Mole and the Orion. And
that's going to be the biggest seller.
We've already gotten word about it, the Arastra. This ship is, I don't have the 3D. There are some 3D images out there. Some people have got some animations that you can see what this thing looks like. Excuse me. It's got cargo containers underneath it, similar to cargo bags and all this other stuff. There's also a thinking that the ship has refining possibly capabilities. If it does, which would make sense, I've always kind of wondered about the Mole. You guys have been in a Mole before. You know that when you go into the Mole, there's like this center section with all these computers and stuff with pipes and everything. And I've always wondered whether or not there will be an engineering station there for someone who actually is able to divide minerals up specifically into whatever bags need to go where. It'd be really cool if they could even refine. I'm not sure if they'll ever do that with the Mole. We know that the Expanse is coming out. That's the role of the Expanse. I always saw the Expanse as being a great partner to be with the Prospector. And it could be with the Mole too, if you just wanted to be able to do that. But now you're moving up to the next level and you're looking at this ship. And I think this ship definitely could have capability for refining. And then, of course, we know the Orion is able to do refining too. But they said this ship would also be able to carry a vehicle. And that's the one thing I haven't seen yet about this yet. So we'll have to wait and see. For scale, some people have tried to throw together an image of what the scale would look like. And you can see this is a fairly large ship. You guys know a Mole is pretty big. This is basically twice the size of a Mole, but smaller than the Orion. And I'm not even sure that Orion scale is right. It may be, but I don't know. But even if it is, it's still pretty big for a ship.
I think the scale's off. I think it should be a little bigger than that.
Yeah, I think the Orion's a little bit bigger.
Well, I think the new ship is off because the size of the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many on the. If you go back to the
Underneath
3D
the
model,
side. Mm-hmm.
like there's just like a jillion of those boxes on the
Mm-hmm.
top
These
and
up
the
here.
bottom of it. Yeah, so on top you've got the boxes, and on the bottom of the
There's a whole
wings,
thing under here.
there's actually way more on the bottom, like right where you are there.
Yep.
And I mean, I feel like if I'm thinking about the Argo Mole, I mean, I feel like the Argo Mole should be maybe, I don't know, half that size or Maybe it already is that
It
size.
is.
I
It
don't
is.
know.
It is about half that size. You're right. It is. Like I said, the mole's about twice the size. This is twice the size of a mole. So you're about right. Well, again, I think that these are going to be interesting items, and we'll see how they sell, how well they do at the convention this year. I think there are going to be people. It's really weird. There's a certain dissatisfaction about the mole right now that people have that I don't hold to that. I think that the mole is nowhere near its potential yet. Because there's no balancing. If you play the way the game plays now, I still hear people talking about wanting to solo the mole. And I mean, I get it. If you want to solo it, that's fine. But it's kind of like round hole in a square peg. And I know there's this idea of quantity and it carries double the amount of a prospector. But
Can't solve that thing.
Yeah, there's just a lot there with that. To me, if I'm taking a mole out, it's 3 people. I can go without a third laser, but to me, take 2 lasers out with a mole, you do well with it. Especially if you got good people who know how to mine. If you got people on lasers who know how to mine, you can chop up rocks and get that stuff done so fast and make your money. It'll be ridiculous. Problem is, most of the time, people don't know how to mine or they don't mine cooperatively. And people feel like when I go out with a prospector, I can do it all and I can make several runs. And that's true. You can. But I've been in a mole with people who know how to mine. And once we break that big rock, those 3 people know exactly what to go for. And they yank all this stuff up in no time flat. And they have moved on. And they make a lot of money doing that. So I think it's a matter of teamwork when it comes to multi-cruise ship. And that's going to be with every multi-cruise ship. How efficient your crew is will determine your productivity and also how much money you make when it's all said and done. It's not all about the ship. It's going to be about your crew too. So, Admiral, that image there shows those areas you're talking about with the 4 holes. And yeah, that looks very feasible. Very interesting design. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, that's all I got for this week, gang. Plenty of stuff. I hope all of you guys have hidden your wallets and put your credit cards into your into your safes and all that stuff. Admiral, are you resigned to not spend any money? Are you open to spend money? Are you thinking about melting something and upgrading it for the insurance? Or are you just like, I'm just a spectator this year?
I'm on the fence. I'm definitely going to get the Tumbrel AA just because I think AA is going to be extremely dangerous for aircraft in atmospheric environments when ailerons come in.
Okay.
You can fly pretty much in space if your wing gets hit. Your thrusters are really what's moving you around. But in atmosphere, you're really at the you really want your wings to be in good shape. You get flying bricks, but that's what I'm looking for. That the other one, I was looking into mining, so maybe I'll do that. I just bought a car though, so I'm just kind of
you gotta keep perspective. You can't let it run away. Yeah.
So in my state, there's a thing called excise tax,
right?
And you get charged. I think it's like $75 per like $1,000 or something like that. It's like I'm expecting like $1,000 like bill from my city just because I park on the street. So and that's an annual thing too. It's based off your current value of your car.
Right.
So I haven't seen that bill yet. So I'm not too sure what I want to do.
Understand.
Fastcart knows what I'm talking about. He knows it exists.
Yeah, it exists. I know. Pops, what about you? What are your expectations? You holding off? You thinking about buying something? You melting something? What you gonna do?
CCU game already.
CCU game. What are you thinking about CCUing to?
If anything, we're thinking about the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Because they announced it.
Okay.
At CitizenCon
that
they're mining. I mean, not mining. Goodness gracious. Like the Pioneer. Goodness.
Yeah.
What
I know
does Pioneer do?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Base building. Yeah, the other modules. They talked about other modules coming for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm considering a Storm.
Okay.
I'm really considering it, putting it in my Polaris.
Okay. Fist, what about you?
Same as Pops. That's what we're looking out for.
Well, he said y'all. He said y'all thinking about the Galaxy, but he said he's thinking about the Storm. If you got something you're thinking about.
No, I mean I'm thinking because really, realistically, I mean I look at our accounts as both of our accounts, but I mean that's how we kind of look at it. But yeah, so for what I was looking to move my M2 to the Galaxy, and you know,
So you're gonna
probably,
CCU it
yeah, I'm gonna melt it. I'm gonna have to melt because the M2 is too much. It's
too
more
much
money for the
price wise.
Galaxy.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, got you. And
So
you're gonna
I
go to
have
that.
probably have to melt it and then go to that, and then because I thought about the Pioneer, but I was like, that's an Ord ship.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When Star Jump they was talking about, it, I was like, yeah, you know what? That might be too much for me to chew.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fair enough.
So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's a good idea. All right. Well, I'm holding off on everything. I have not bought anything other than 2 paints. I'm so proud of myself. I haven't bought a
heard that.
thing. And so, by the way, let me say this to you guys. I don't even know if I should say this. Hey, where's that page at? Why don't they have the page here? Guys, do you guys know where that page is with the okay, bear with me here. There is a page that shows what ships they are selling this year.
Ooh.
Come on, Griff. Where is it at? Oh, wait a minute. I know where it is. At least I think I know where it is. Give me a second here, gang. Give me a moment. Uno momento. Hopefully Fastcart put it up here. He's always pretty good with this stuff. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. So check this out. What's the new ship that just came out? The Zeus?
Yeah.
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 The Zeus is not for sale.
What?
It's brand new.
Well,
No,
already
you
out.
ain't hearing me. It is not showing up for IAE. Now my question is, are they not going to sell it? In other words, they did the sale now. Remember, they gave the IAE insurance for it.
Yeah, they'll stop it.
Yeah. So my point is, if you guys are thinking about getting a Zeus, if
Right
it's still
now.
available, you better buy it today. Because that's if you're thinking about getting it and getting it at the IAE insurance, because it's concept. So y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, that's only for flyable, rentable. Oh, rent. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Captain Jones. All right. I got nervous because I didn't see it. Okay. So this is only for renting.
Weird.
Okay.
That's weird.
All right, y'all.
I ain't never seen him turn down making
Okay,
money.
all ships will be for sale. All right. I don't want to start no fires. Thank you, Captain Jones. Because all I know is somebody said, "Hey, the Zeus may not be for sale. It's not on the list." And I went and looked at the list, and I didn't think about that. That's true. This is just for ships that want to be flyable. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, y'all. Keep y'all money in y'all pocket. Don't buy the Zeus. Okay. What'd you say, Pops?
I did have a question for you. We are talking about ship sales because I was thinking about the 600 exploration. Did anybody have you heard when the rework is supposed to come out?
Nope. No word on it. Not a peep. And the interesting thing is that we've only seen the rework in relation to the cargo area and the lounge area on touring and relaxing. We've never seen what the science area will look like on the exploration version.
That was my other question.
Yep. We don't know what the Explorer will look like. Because even the touring, from my understanding, they were flipping sections on that ship. Now I could be wrong because the cargo area is in one area. So it's a pretty major rework that they're doing on that ship. But the science area in the current ship, we know that they said they were going to do something with it and change it. Plus, they're adding a med bay area. So there's a lot to that ship we haven't even seen yet. We just saw a few concept drawings, and that was it. So it's not as just a tweaking thing. I mean, they're literally moving the innards around in that ship, plus creating new stuff. So we'll have to see what that comes out to in time. Okay. Alrighty. Well, listen, I want to say thank you to everyone who is here. Truly appreciate you all being here today, as always. Thank you to Admiral Kusanagi, Fist to Face, and Pops, who dropped in to spend a little time with me today, and thank you for their comments. Thank you, guys. Those of you who gave today, those of you who followed today. Coffee, I know you were here earlier. It's good to see you. I didn't get to yell at you when you came in, but it's good to see you. Stem for following. BBG, thank you again for the bits and for all the great comments you guys put in. FC's here. What's going on? Oh, the Bar Citizen. Yes, FC. Thank you. Thank you. I did not talk about the Bar Citizen. And if I don't talk about the Bar Citizen, he'll talk about me badly. Okay, we are just... that's not it. I got to do the other thing. As you guys know, we have Virtual Bar Citizen coming up. I think I can bring up just the graphic, I think. Here and here. There we go. Virtual Bar Citizen is coming up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? 3 weeks. Saturday, December 2nd. We're going to be talking about both CitizenCon and IAE. There are there's one registration, but 2 sessions. All you have to do is register once. You can come to both sessions, either session, one session or the other session, whatever works for you. It's all done on Zoom. It's virtual. Please be sure. There's the barcode. Scan it. Register. You have to register in order to get access to get in. This is all done on Zoom. Folks from all over the world, Germany, Australia, Asia, US, Canada, South America, everywhere, come to this event, along with a few people from CIG. And we have a great time, great conversation. Really hope you guys can join us on that Saturday. It's a long day for us, but it's a lot of fun and well worth it that we get to spend with the community. If you didn't get to go to the Bar Citizen at CitizenCon, come to this one. You can come hang out with us. If you don't have a Bar Citizen near you, come to this one. If you go to Bar Citizens all the time, come to this one. You get to hang out with us and have a great time. Don't forget.
Griff, do I need to register for this thing?
Yes, because you need to be able to get in. Everybody, even I register. Everybody has to register.
Okay. I just can't like just go in
because you don't have the link. If you have a link, you can't get in. So you got to get in. So
Admiral got a golden ticket.
Yes, please register. Admiral's going to be one of our moderators, so he'll be able to help us out. So yeah, but we all register. So please make sure that you guys register for it. There's the link in chat, or there's something in chat. Fastcart put in there.
I have to try to keep the peace.
Okay, yeah.
Time.
So don't forget to check that out. Okay, we are going to send you guys over to our good friends Execute and Algrit over with the Info Runners. They are on right now. They are truly pumped up and psyched up about CitizenCon. They've been sharing a lot of good information about ships and stuff that's going to be going on this week. Don't forget, take your time, watch your money. CCU if you have to, if you can. And don't forget, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Soul Talk with Fastcart and the group. They'll be back tonight talking about all things Star Citizen in the community. And hopefully we'll see you guys for our Sunday show at 8 p.m. Eastern for Soul Citizens. Until then, you guys stay safe, take care of yourselves as always. Peace, love, and soul. See you later. Ciao.